Hello and welcome to The Power in Your Story, a series of conversations with entrepreneurs, powerful entrepreneurs, and digging deep into the story that led them on their path, their journey to doing what they're doing now. Hi, I'm Marianne. I'm a confident communication expert, helping people speak their truth through their story. So I'm thrilled to have Tiffany Cano join us today. And Tiffany is a Blindspot healer and CEO of Highly Perceptive People Academy. Welcome, welcome, Tiffany.
Oh, thank you so much.
Sorry?
Happy to be here.
Oh, that's great. I'm looking forward to this. I just felt, I sat down beforehand, I thought, how am I going to feel? And I thought, I know I'm talking with Tiffany. I'm going to feel calm and joyful. So now I've attended some of Tiffany's workshops and her things, and it really is very powerful and such a lovely personality. And I'd love to find out, really, going back in time, how far back do we go for when your sort of healing journey started?
Well, ever since I was a toddler, I could see.
Really?
I could see energy and auras, and I could put my hands on an owie and it would feel better. Now, I didn't exactly know what I was doing, but I knew that I could. And I was seeing auras around like people and animals and plants and seeing ghosts. Those scared me when I was a kid. I was totally freaked out by those. But I knew that there was a healing nature in me, but I didn't know how to describe it. I was so young. When I was 8, I was at my dad's barn. He's a horse trainer. And I was doing something that probably looked like massage to him. And so I was working on one of his clients doing something hands-on. And he said, Tiff, you should charge $1 for 10 minutes for that. You should charge for your services. Now, I don't think he knew what I was doing, but hey, he gave me the idea that I should start valuing my gifts, my skills, my time. And so I did. And from a very young age, my entrepreneurial career started, and I've been getting paid ever since. And I've totally given myself a raise since then.
I'm making a quick calculation. I'm looking for it right now.
Yes. My prices have increased every couple of years.
That's a lovely story. I can just see. So, did you continue? I mean, do you regularly see people's auras or?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I was overwhelmed by it when I was a kid and in my early 20s, but that's when I learned how to turn it off and on and off and on and regulate it, so that if I was going into an environment where there was going to be a lot of people, I would desensitize and turn off so that it didn't overwhelm me and I didn't soak up a bunch of negative energies in the space by being so like open to the universe. So that began my journey in how to have healthy space and boundaries and how to desensitize and how to turn off and on. And now I primarily use it when I'm in session. I sometimes still get, intuition and visions and things like that just in life, doing my day-to-day, but I'm not trying for it. You know what I'm saying?
Got you. So if it comes, it comes, but you don't automatically, you've learned an on and off switch. So every time you're talking to somebody, whether it's a shopkeeper or
Yes.
on the street, it's not all rushing at you. You on the whole, unless it's something that really is a download, you just choose, do I want to check in on this person's aura? Is that right?
Yes. I mean, I learned how to turn it off when I was just trying to be a friend to someone or to just be a member of my family and not in healer mode, you know, because when I'm in healer mode, that means I'm on duty. That's energy. That's uh, you know, giving of myself, but also being that channel for energy to flow through me to that other person. And some of my friends were like, hey, can we just hang out? I don't want to necessarily feel like I'm being coached right now.
Yeah,
Like, sure.
It could be uncomfortable, couldn't it? You know?
Yeah.
You sitting about me now and things like that. Yes.
Yeah. So now I try to ask them ahead of time, like, am I here in friend mode or are you wanting coaching and healing? So that I know how to listen and, you know, engage.
Very good. So you started to learn that in your 20s. And so you started as really a toddler, that you saw auras and got a bit scared by ghosts. It was really when you were 8 and you were, what your father thought was massaging somebody, and he suggested.
Yeah. And he doesn't even remember telling me to do that to this day. He does not remember, but it was one of those golden moments that just anchored me into charging for what I'm worth.
I love that, charging for what I'm worth, because there's so many entrepreneurs out there.
Mm-hmm.
I find that so difficult because we come to it, I suppose, you know, adulthood with sort of all our mindsets, and yet you just embraced it as an 8-year-old and just took it up one step at a time. So I guess it felt quite natural for you.
It did, but every time I get an internal upgrade or I want to raise my prices, I have to do the inner work. So every price increase, I need to clear out my own self-limiting beliefs, my own money thermometer and glass ceiling that might be there. So I'm constantly doing that inner work to keep expanding my value, expanding my self-confidence, my worth, my deservingness to charge more. And, you know, that's been a process over the decades.
That's lovely. So actually, that's an interesting one. So having been able, having that ability to have more or less an on-off switch to see other people's auras and just sort of feel into that. What about yourself?
I can look at myself. I think it's easier to look out there at somebody else because I'm not attached to their stuff. When it comes to me, if I want an accurate read, I need to get into more of a meditative space and, you know, connect with source and my higher soul and ask the question and then receive the download. And sometimes I journal it out and sometimes I just let it come in. Okay. But if I don't like cut my cords to everything, especially to my desires, my desired outcome, and then, you know, connect with my consciousness to a much stronger spiritual connection, then I can do it accurately for myself.
Wow, that must take a lot of discipline doing. I cut cords as well. It's very effective. So, in a sense, you have been an entrepreneur in certainly some sense since the age of 8. How has your journey, other than charging a bit more, you had to decide in your 20s to make your life a little bit easier, really, by turning your on and on switch. So in your 20s, you discovered your on off switch so that you could manage the everyday world without draining yourself. Has your path taken, your entrepreneurial journey taken any forks in the road or choices that you had to make on that journey?
Yes, yes. So, a lot of my training that taught me how to turn off and on and hone my clairvoyance and my skills was through Master Choa Koksui, the modern day founder of pranic healing and Arhatic yoga. And I've also been trained in many, 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 many modalities, but he's one of my major mentors when it comes to healing and clairvoyance. And so that foundation was there. And then I've had life stuff come up just like normal people. So I remember it was in my late 20s, early 30s. There was about 2 years where there was just death upon death upon death, like 9 deaths, including my baby, including my grandpa, including Master Choa. And I got married, I got divorced in that same period. And then right after that, a close family member got cancer. And it just was like one of those
One after the other, including
moments. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And so that was one of those dark nights of the soul moments that took some time to recover from, but it showed me and taught me so much compassion and grace and how to be unattached to people and to things, yet being fully present in the moment.
Beautiful.
It also taught me how to heal and release grief and process grief. And it's not just grief over the loss of people, but it's also, there's other things that we grieve about too. Projects in my business that didn't pan out. Where there's grief and disappointment and frustration, and being able to move through that more gracefully because I've experienced deep grief and loss.
Deep grief. And so they all panned together. Did it start with the loss of your baby?
That was not the first one. That was like number 3 or 4 in the mix. Yeah.
I'm guessing that was the sort of the pits, but for you, was that one of the worst moments? If that's not too uncomfortable.
I don't know that it was one of the worst moments because I had already gotten kind of to a state of numbness because there was so much pain
going on.
And because things were so back to back, it was just kind of hard to discern, what was the worst time.
It all merged.
It all just felt like a muddy, heavy soup, just kind of mixed together. But, that's, when we have those challenging times, it also is the biggest opportunity to connect to our soul, to connect to God, to be recharged and healed with God's love, God's light, God's power. So even though I've had multiple tough times, challenging, painful times, I wouldn't not want to have them. You know what I'm saying? Like they were a gift to me, and it's enabled me to be really comfortable going in and doing shadow work and healing the things within me that have not yet been healed. And then everything that I learn, I then help heal and facilitate healing, is more accurate, for my clients. It's like every time I get the upgrade, then the universe gives me clients with something similar to then contribute to them a much easier, softer, more graceful healing, insights, and empowerment than what I experienced. Because I then get to be that for them.
You're holding that space, that sacred space.
Mm-hmm.
Then.
Yeah, because I can have such compassion, and I'm very empathetic. Like from the time I was young, I've been able to see and feel and hear and energies and what people are thinking and feeling. So it's easy to have that empathy and yet say, I feel you, sister, but not take it on, not like sponge it up in my body the way I used to when I didn't know how to hold space and boundaries. Like I can be a space for healing, love, compassion, joy, prosperity, and abundance, you know, healing someone's heart, helping them with their health journeys, and not like process it through my body. But that, you know, that was a muscle, a skill set that I had to learn, being so empathic. And it's taken like 2 decades really to get to where I'm at.
Do you find that, I know that one of the things was the on and off switch helped you,
Mm-hmm.
and that awful dark night of the soul period that was somewhere between 1 year and 2 years, did that also help you detach slightly so that you were with the people but not sponging it up? Did that help or not?
It contributed, but I would say learning how to drop my subconscious guards, walls, and shields and replacing them with healthy boundaries was the most helpful tool. Because when I feel afraid, and this is also what I observe in other people clairvoyantly, we can have one of about 10 different types of guards and walls and shields that come up. Like if we're afraid, we might shrink and collapse. We might have like, if we're angry, we might have like fire energy coming out of us. Or there might be numbness. Like I am very familiar with numbness but it's hard to know that you're numb because you're numb and you can't feel it. So I had to like really look for that one. And might be poked, jagged energy coming out as a defensiveness because, you know, like trying to guard and protect. So those are just a couple of common examples. Or like being zappy with like an electric shock, you know, when someone says something and then there's like a zing, a zap to it.
Shock, yeah, shock.
You know? Yeah. So it's like learning how to release those guards, those walls, those shields, and the wound or trauma or negative belief or negative story or negative imprint that was underneath it that caused us to not feel safe and loved and heard and seen and understood and that we belong. So it's releasing the guard, the wall, releasing those inner core wounds, and then having the healthy space and boundaries. Beautiful. So that I can be present and just, you know, be that space of love for people.
Beautiful. So after that, the period that was the dark night of the soul, you came out and found that it was in its own way a gift, if one could call it that way, and you attracted people that you were able to create that space for, and in doing so you kept on having to deal with your own boundaries too in order to deal with those deep issues that they were presenting to you. Very, very powerful. Yeah. And what about the blind spots? You're a blind spot. Was that from your own experience?
Well, I didn't know that I was a blind spot healer until some of my clients kept saying, oh, that was totally in my blind spot. Like I would just see and sense and intuit clairvoyantly, oh, they have a wound about not feeling loved, or they have a wound. Like maybe they come to me because they've got a prosperity block. Okay, they want to make more money, but they're not, you know, able to. So I go in and I see, okay, what are the self-limiting beliefs? What is the old traumas? What is the old wounds that are getting in the way of that from happening? And I look at their timeline clairvoyantly and I can see, okay, well, when you were, 4 years old, one of your parents said that money was hard to make, or money doesn't grow on trees, and they were complaining and stressed out about not having enough money. And that imprinted onto you. And so I go in and I clear that out. I help to facilitate the healing for that wound, that ache, that pain, that story that they created out of it, that once that is healed, then they can start opening up and feeling safe to receive money, safe to receive love, safe to be seen and put themselves out there.
Yes, very powerful. So when I actually said, were there some forks in the road to take you to the journey you are on now, you said, oh yes, and you shared the dark night of the soul. Were there any others, or was that the main one?
I mean, that was definitely a big one that happened and took time to heal from. But I think just life stuff. I mean, family members having major health crises, needing to move or experiencing. I remember I lived in a really nice, what I thought was a nice complex near the water. I was pretty close to the ocean, and it was a gated community. However, after living there for a couple of years, the neighbor was on drugs and got into a fight, and there was like a stabbing and violence and blood all over the place, like outside and inside, and broken glass. And I was like, I just don't want to live here anymore. That was just yeah, I'm done. And so I was like, okay, God, all right. My guru is Paramahansa Yogananda. So I was like, all right, Master, show me where do I go now? And then seamlessly, he moved me to a house that was 5 minutes from the Fullerton Temple for Self-Realization Fellowship. And then from there, my finances increased. I started an organic garden with fruits and vegetables. I have experienced such joy being here. I loved living here during the pandemic. I didn't need to go out. I was fully self-contained here and in just gratitude. And I was tempted to do this interview out in my rose garden, but the sound quality is not as fantastic, but it's so lovely. Yeah. And they're the kind of roses that when you smell them, like it's got the pure, deep rose smell, not the synthetic or non-smelling roses that you get at a store.
Oh, so they're the lovely old-fashioned roses.
Yes, yes, yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, beautiful. Yes. A garden is so healing and organic. That's music to my ears. So you mentioned.
Yeah. Can I just share? I'm just excited about my garden. Like every 1 to 2 days, maybe 3 days, I get a handful of blueberries and strawberries. I can go outside and like cut fresh herbs, to put in a pasta. I can cut lettuce or kale for a salad. And I have so many different fruits and vegetables, but just the instant hand to mouth.
Oh yes, there's nothing tastier than something freshly cut and sometimes on either in the pot or sometimes on your plate within 10 minutes, half an hour. It's just amazing. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Wow. Go on. What's your favorite herb?
Basil. I'm a caprese lover. If I can have like, tomato, fresh mozzarella with basil and, garlic and herb and olive oil and balsamic, that's delicious.
That's a powerful story, really, of your beautiful garden and your face lighting up and how you opened yourself up for being led to here and to where you are now. And so you managed to replace one guru with you got another guru now.
Well, Master Choa was I spent most of my 20s with him. I was a pranic healing instructor. And after he passed, a few years after he passed, it became clear he was a profound teacher on my journey. And yet Paramahansa Yogananda was my Sat Guru, who had been with me, before. And it was confusing at the time because I was dreaming about Master Choa before I ever met him. I knew he had been my teacher in a past life. And so the first, 10 to 15 years of knowing him, I thought he was my Sat Guru because I remember him from another life. But when the fog cleared out a few years after he passed, and the whole time I had still been drawn to Self-Realization Fellowship. I'd been going to Lake Shrine where Paramahansa built this beautiful meditation center. And, I had been immersed in those teachings as well. So those were my tandem, spiritual paths for a good 20 years. But then when I had the moment, when the angels of choir were singing, I was like, oh, yes, I got it. Okay, thank you so much. And so I still have great love and respect and gratitude for everything that I learned from Master Choa. And I also have deep reverence and love for Paramahansa Yogananda, who through his teachings and his meditations, I feel the presence of God more tangibly, viscerally, profoundly than any other style of meditation I've ever done.
Powerful. Could I just get you to repeat what guru sat? I didn't get what it was.
Paramahansa Yogananda. Sat Guru means the guru who is with you throughout multiple lifetimes until you achieve enlightenment.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, that's like your permanent guru.
Got you. Oh, well, that's just an amazing, such a powerful story. What a journey since really you were a toddler to now. You've had your ups and definitely you've had your downs. And I just love the way you've turned it around to turn it into so many things that each individually could be such a terrible challenge for each and every one of us. And yet you've turned them around to help heal other people and still keep your boundaries. And now you've been guided to this beautiful place and organic garden, which really, I can see how it lights you up. And I'm guessing anything that lights you up, and I could see the joy, I could see the excitement. You must hear me about my reasons, or it's going to come through, isn't it? With your work, it's going to come through with your clients and your work, and it's going to give you your own boundaries and your own balance to give more. Yeah,
I've been so blessed. I have a lot of word of mouth referral clients. I've been six figures for a long time, and the fruits of the years of labor have just kept me gracefully, you know, skating along. Like even through the pandemic, I made more money during that than I did the year before because I was so busy doing healings for people with COVID, but also all the other things that come up, the fear, the anxiety, the stress, the, you know, money problems, the family struggle problems, the health and wellness problems. And so I, you know, with God's grace, I've been doing really well. And I couldn't obviously do my in-person workshops or my spiritual retreats in India or Italy during this time, but that was okay because I already was doing my group program for embodiment, conscious creation, love, and empowerment. And that's all via Zoom. And, you know, all of my one-on-one healing clients. So
You've been
I'm
busy
in a
with
good
that.
space. I have been, yeah.
Wonderful. Oh, that's so wonderful. First of all, if any of you want to find out more about Tiffany, you can go to her website, Highly Perceptive People Academy, and you've got a gift that you can find on that website. And I'll put the website link. Maybe just tell us briefly about the gift.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. When you go to highlyperceptivepeopleacademy.com, partway down the page, you'll see that I have a money magnet program that you can get for free. And it's 20-minute prosperity healings for 20 days. And every single day has a new topic, a new element to clean out to help you to open up to greater prosperity and flow and abundance in your life. And you can get it for free. When I used to do the program live, I would charge $4.97 for it. And that was like 7-8 years ago. So I'm giving it to you for free.
Oh, that is a wonderful gift. I think all of us can always work on our money mindset at whatever level we're at. So there's always another little story, isn't there? Which of course, the story is what we're all about. And stories are so powerful. I hope you've enjoyed Tiffany's story as much as I have. It's been such a powerful story that started really so many years ago from a toddler, and that path that's had its sort of rocky times and clarification times, and to what Tiffany's doing now. Incredibly powerful. And stories are powerful, and stories are powerful how they influence you, and their stories are very powerful to connect with your audience. I feel the excitement that I was feeling just listening to Tiffany's story, and I know you will as well. And it's a great way to connect with your audience. In the show notes, I will put a link as well for a self-study course that you can follow using story when speaking, because it helps you craft your stories and a great way to connect to your audience. So until the next series, Tiffany, or not next series, next video interview, Tiffany, thank you so much. It's been a total joy.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye.